So they show up, throwing on their best smiles, giving their best charm, and basically say, yeah, look, $2,500 or else you're going to have this drain issue for the rest of your lives.
I'm Kenny Molotov, licensed plumber, professional magician, and entertainer. On this channel, I go through the ins and outs of my career in plumbing. I take you through a day in the life and we talk tools, theory, and mindset. I'm trying to give you an arsenal of knowledge and an online resource so you can take this trade head on and find yourself successful on the other end. Click subscribe, hit that bell notification, and let's talk pipes.
Peeps, Kenny Molotov. Check out MolotovPlumbingAcademy.com to get courses that are specifically designed to help you succeed in your apprenticeship. So today I want to talk to you about plumbing company scams. There are some plumbing companies out there that give themselves a really bad reputation because of the way that they conduct their business. So what I wanted to do is tell you about the couple of experiences that I've had with a couple of homeowners that have experienced these companies and what sort of things transpired and what sort of ways that this affected them. And then that way you are able to kind of have your ear to the ground to make sure that you are not working for a company that's like this. Because I think the worst thing is that when you are an honest person and you find out that you're working for a dishonest company, or you are an honest homeowner looking to get your plumbing repaired, but a dishonest company comes in and starts asking for way more things than you need to do. So I was once called by a customer and they told me that their kitchen sink was clogged, but also that there's some sort of leak at the same time. So I went to the house, met the homeowner, realized that they were a little bit kind of nervous that I'm there sort of thing. And as I got inside, I did what I normally do is I fire on the sink and I basically do a little test to see what's going on. Is it filling up? Because if it is, then there's definitely a clog. And is there a leak underneath? So in my 5 to 10, 15 minute inspection, I'm able to figure out, okay, there's some sort of joint that's broken under there. I think it was the P-trap had a crack in it or whatnot. And also the water has a tendency in filling up as well. So they have this perfect storm. So I gave the customer the price and they were happy with it and they allowed me to continue on with my work. And as I'm working, the homeowner comes around and starts having conversation with me, asks me about how long I've been in the career, this and that. And then all of a sudden he goes, actually, you're not the first plumber I've seen for this problem. I said, oh no, so what went down? Well, he called this other company in. This company walks into the house and looks underneath the cabinet, and then they walk down into the basement and he had drop ceilings in the basement. So they lifted up the drop ceiling and they looked at where the pipe went and they turned to him and they gave him a quote for $1,500 to change the kitchen branch. So basically from the P-trap all the way down and all the way into the nearest stack. So I looked at him and I go, like, how did they come to that conclusion? Like, where did that come from? He goes, I don't even know. I said, well, did they run the water to see what was going on? He goes, no. They didn't even turn on the faucet when they gave him the quote. They just came in, they looked at everything, gave him the quote for $1,500, and then they walked out. And that was the first time that I kind of was introduced to the idea that there are plumbing companies out there that it seems like they're working on a commission basis. You know what I mean? There's some companies that use that model for their work where they come into a house and they're looking for more work to be done. They are kind of inspecting everything, seeing if they can get more work done by the customer, even though that work might not be pressing for them. But they make it sound urgent, like it needs to be done right away or else something major is going to break. So that was very odd to me, and I did the job for this guy. He was extremely happy afterwards. He called me back multiple times after that for other things that happened around the house. But overall, like it left a really bad taste in my mouth because that is a really bad look for plumbing companies in general. The concern that I have is that those bad companies are giving plumbing companies a bad reputation overall. It is always those companies that make it look bad for other plumbers. So that was the first example of me finding out about companies like this. The second time that this happened was only a couple of months back. I was called from a friend of a friend and they had a drain issue for their kitchen. So I gave them my price right up front. I said, listen, the only problem is I cannot show up to your house till around 9:30, 10 p.m. at night because I was teaching in the evening at this point. They were initially okay with that, but I think they already had previously called another plumbing company and that plumbing company let them know that they can show up earlier. So like it was in the afternoon they could show up. So I got a call back that basically said, thank you, we appreciate you, but this other company could come right now, we're just gonna get it done with them. I thought my hands were clean, I didn't have to deal with anything. I got a call a couple of hours later from this friend of a friend and basically said, so that company came in, they threw the snake into the drain, they didn't hit anything, and then they pulled the snake out and they basically turned to them and said, no, there's something wrong with the pipe. The next step for them was to find a drain camera, but apparently that wasn't available at the time, so they wrote them up a quote for $2,500 to excavate the basement, rip out that entire pipe until it gets to the main. So I'm sitting there listening to this going, whoa, like $2,500 out of nowhere? How do they know that the blockage is that much further? And did they hit the blockage? A lot of times you got to hit blockage to be able to say nothing's getting through this. And you usually need a large drain machine to be able to ascertain that information. Because if a large drain machine's not getting through and you are actually trying, then you have to start having a conversation of, okay, I don't think we're going to be able to get this whatsoever sort of thing. But if that never happened, and if they never hit the blockage to begin with, did they test the drain afterwards? The homeowner couldn't even answer that question. I basically listened to this and said, this sounds like hogwash. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to come in, I'm going to snake your drain exactly as I was planning to earlier in the day, and I'm going to either verify that they're right or I'm going to verify that they're wrong. My price remained the same because I'm still doing the same amount of labor. They were fine with that. I came in, I threw every coil I had, and I had 10 coils, and they're 7.5 feet each, so we went 75 feet. I didn't hit a single thing. I tested the drain multiple times thoroughly, and we didn't have any sort of backup ever since. They never called me back. They were very happy that I came by. But that's another example of a company kind of inventing work on a homeowner that doesn't know much about plumbing. And that for me is where it becomes criminal. They are kind of preying on the fact that some people are ignorant to the trade. They don't understand what's happening with the pipes. So they show up throwing on their best smiles, giving their best charm, and basically say, yeah, look, $2,500 or else you're going to have this drain issue for the rest of your lives. Thankfully, they knew a second plumber. They were able to call me back in, and I was able to go out and help them out. One thing that I found really interesting about this second company was that I have heard different radio commercials for this company, and what they are offering is to show up at your door for $95 and snake the drain at the same time. And that price right there is significantly underpriced. It's under market value for snaking drains. So it's very easy for the homeowner to hear that and bring those people to the house. Because as soon as they hear $95, for $100 my drain gets cleared, no problem. I don't have to deal with any other plumbers. You guys come on in right away. So it's like this entire setup that feels more and more slimy and more criminal as it goes along. And that just breaks my heart because, again, it is putting such a bad reputation to plumbing companies out there that when you finally meet honest plumbing companies, it's like they have to deal with homeowners that have had their heart broken before and that have been robbed before by other plumbing companies. So it just does really bad things to the market, and it's not something I encourage whatsoever. And if you guys ever run into a company like this where you're working for them, you have to sit back and consider where your moral compass points, because at some point they're going to be giving you the quote book and they're going to be asking you to go places and invent work. You know what I'm saying? And that for me would never sit right. I'd have to get out right away because I don't think that's the right way to do business. Business and honesty have to go hand in hand, in my opinion. I know they don't always. I feel like your product is honesty. And I also feel like when you're hiring a tradesperson, you are not hiring for the lowest price. You are hiring for competence and trust, because those two things, unbreakable. You know what I mean? Once you have those two things, going forward is going to be the easiest. There's one more story I want to tell you. It's not about a scam, but it's just so you can understand where the homeowner's head is. One day, I was working for another plumbing company, and I was dispatched to a house where they were having an issue with water hammer. So I got in, the homeowner took me to the faucet that he thought it was happening in. I turned on the faucet, came to realize that it was in fact from that faucet. I took out the cartridge and I suggested to the homeowner that I go out and find this cartridge for them. There's a store nearby that carries almost everything. We're gonna give them a shot, sort of thing. The homeowner turns to me and he goes, is there any other solution to this problem? Like, could we get rid of the valve? And I turned to them, I said, yeah, absolutely, we can get rid of the valve. And I explained to them that we have remodeling plate. That way we cut the tile, we take out the old valve, we put in the new valve. We can also go from the other side because he had drywall on the other side. We could cut open the drywall and then take out the valve from that end as well, swap it out. That way he has to do a little bit of drywall afterwards though, instead of cutting the tile. But then I stopped him and I said, but wait, listen, we have a pretty big shop at finding this cartridge. It's going to be way cheaper for you if we do it this way. We can always talk about the alternatives later if this doesn't work. And I walked out, I drove to the supplier, found that cartridge, came back, installed it, and everything was perfect after that. It was really a lucky find, to be honest. As we're leaving the house, they're asking about payments and whatnot, and I'm saying the shop is going to email you an invoice, so don't worry about it. And then the homeowner turns to me and essentially goes, listen, if we have another problem, will you come back? I said, yeah, of course, just call the shop and they're going to dispatch somebody. And they're like, no, will you come back? And they were talking about me specifically. I go, yeah, I mean, if you ask the company for me, then I'll try to come back for sure. You just have to go through the company. And he goes, you know why, right? And I really didn't understand why he was specifically asking for me. And he basically goes, because you're very honest. And I think, like, I was flattered when this happened because, you know, this is the way I try to navigate my life. I try to be as honest as possible. If I don't think something's gonna work, I tell people. Even if it breaks their heart, I'll tell them. So getting a compliment from that was kind of shocking because sometimes I tell people what they don't want to hear because it's the truth. So I felt very flattered. I kind of was driving to the next job site trying to piece together why they would react that way. And I think the reason why he felt the way that he did was because he was offering me a solution that was more money. I could have done a remodeling plate for $700. I would have had more money for the company that I'm working for, and we would have had more hours, that sort of thing. But because I basically stopped him in his tracks and said, listen, we do not need to spend that money. We don't need to go there. That is a worst case scenario. When he found that out and I did that, I think for him that was an indication of, oh, I'm not sifting through your pockets. I'm not interested in how much money's inside your wallet. I'm here for the task. And the task is I might be able to find this cartridge that stops the water hammer for you. And I think they were very flattered by that and maybe even a little bit shocked that I was so honest as a plumber. So much so that they gave me a compliment at the end. And I think that's the way we need to navigate as plumbers. We need to be as honest as possible. You know what I mean? Because at some point we have to get our tires changed or our brakes changed. And we're hoping for the exact same culture at whatever mechanic shop that we go to. Sometimes we're gonna have to hire people to do our HVAC and we want honesty there. If we are honest with one another, then we're actually helping each other out in the long run. And that's basically the reason why I told you that final story, is because there are some really great things that come from being honest. And one thing is yeah, I got a compliment, but let's say I was working for my own company at that point. This is a customer that was so happy about my honesty that I guarantee they'd be comfortable sharing our name with the next homeowner that needs help, sort of thing. You know what I mean? That's how your name gets passed along, through doing good deeds like being honest. So peeps, that's my 2 cents on the subject. Thank you for watching. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification so you know exactly when we're getting videos. Smash that thumbs up. Share this with friends if you know anybody that'd be interested. And I'll see you plumbers very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.